Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Excuse the makeup. I was filming some other stuff when I realized that I didn't have an intro for this video, so yeah, gonna do that. Anyway, so this is another kawaii DIY kind of video. I'm gonna go through and take you guys on my journey making my very first rag quilt. It's exciting stuff. I have a serious blanket problem. Like, I own a lot of blankets, and I can't stop myself from buying more blankets, and now I started making blankets, and like, jeez, oh my god, guys. Anyway, I bought a ton of these really cute fabrics, like these unicorns, and these blue stars, and these unicorns and zebras, and some more stuff, and look at these rainbows. Do you see these? These are so freaking cute. What else is there? Oh look, more stars and more unicorns. Anyway, so I bought all of these awesome flannel fabrics from work. We were conveniently having a sale on flannel, so with the ones that I had in my stash already, I bought some more to go with it and came home and made a rag quilt. So I'm gonna go through how I did that with you guys, and we're gonna see it at the end of the video. Alright, so we're just gonna straighten out the fabric so we can cut some squares. Yay! Yeah, so there's a lot of cutting involved in this process, both before and after you sew it together. But quite frankly, I think it's worth it in the end. So basically, you're gonna need some type of measuring device / ruler. The squares I am measuring out are going to be 8 inches by 8 inches, and I do believe I needed 49 of them to do this. So I had to cut out 49 squares from this stripy fabric for the back of the quilt, and yeah, this is just how I measured it out and cut it. When you are cutting flannel for a rag quilt, the best thing to do is actually use pinking shears, because then you get the like crinkle cut edging, and it makes it really easy for when you go to snip it afterwards, because you kind of already have little notches to snip in. And yeah. we have the squares. Got a whole little stack of them. Just gonna continue cutting out squares, but I have those ones, and then I have all of these other squares for the front of the quilt that I had already cut out with all of my different fabrics. I had 7 different fabrics, and I was making my quilt 7 by 7 squares, just because I kind of like the way that worked out, and I like the size. So you're going to have all of your squares. You'll have all of your front squares as, sorry. You're going to basically want to pattern out what you want your quilt front to look like. So I took all of my squares and kind of laid them out in the pattern that I was going to sew them together in. Basically what I did was I put them all in one row, and then for the next row I would shift them all over one so that when the quilt was together, they would all go on a diagonal. Now you're going to go ahead and take your pattern pieces, and you want to have them in the layout that you're going to sew them. You're going to put the front piece facing down, and then you're going to have a back piece, and then you can put a back piece facing down. And then you're going to go ahead and put another one of the front pieces facing upward. Then basically going to stitch those two sides together. Had to find my foot pedal. I think I need about a 1/2 inch seam allowance for this. I'm going to snip your thread, and then when you open it up, you will be able to see 2 back pieces and 2 pieces of the front. Just basically going to continue along the row. So you're going to put the front squares are going to go on the outside of the sandwich, and the back squares are going to go on the inside of the sandwich. You just kind of repeat it. Just make sure you pay attention to what you're doing so that you don't end up with front pieces on the back of the quilt. Alright, and then once you have your first row sewn together, it will look a little bit something like this. So you're going to repeat that. For mine, I had to repeat that 7 times because I had 7 rows. Once those are all done together, I'm going to lay them all out so you can see how the pattern is going to lie. And then you're going to sew those together. So you're going to put the back side of the quilt facing each other, and then the front sides are going to be on the outside of the sandwich again, and do the same thing where you stitch it together. Again, I was using about a 1/2 inch seam allowance for this, and just keep going. You can go ahead and snip your threads once that's sewn together, and you'll be able to spread it out, and you can start to see what your quilt's going to look like. And then again, got to do it for all 7 rows, and you'll sew them together and you'll have a blanket that looks like this. Then going to go ahead and stitch all the way around the 4 outer edges, about 1/2 inch in. Again, same seam allowance, just so that it will be sewn together, and I'll be able to rag the outer edges of the quilt as well. Alright, so basically just going through and snipping off the spare threads from when I was stitching it together. You know, don't need those spare threads hanging around. There's a bit of a clump at the corner there. Woohoo! Goodbye threads. Alright, so now I'm going to pick a spot to start, and we're going to start ragging this quilt. So what you're going to do, I guess I did this first. I went around the edges and trimmed up the edges to make sure that they were straight, just because a couple of my squares were a little wonky and a little bigger than they needed to be, so I had to straighten those out first. Now we can get to the part where you're ragging it. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to snip in towards the stitch line, just making little stitches every like ½ inch, 3/4 inches along all of the sewn edges. So all the way around the 4 outsides of the blanket. This works a lot better if you have a pair of rag snips, because scissors do start to get kind of painful to use after a while when you're doing this. And then you're going to go into the inner seams and do the same thing, because we want it to go around all of the edges. Alright, and once it's snipped, it's just going to look like this. You'll have a whole bunch of little fluffy frayed edges. I guess that is how I was making the rag quilt. I know I skipped out on a lot of footage, but that's because, like, the sewing, you don't want to see me sew the whole thing. Like, it's just same thing over and over again. And then when it came to snipping the rag quilt, that took probably about 45 minutes to do the entire thing. Like, I watched an entire episode of something on Netflix while I did that. Anyway, I'm gonna back this camera up. This is the back of the quilt, obviously. And then this is the whole thing. It's so cute. I love it so much. It actually turned out really well. I am super excited to wash it for the first time. Once you wash it for the first time, the snipped rag parts tend to get like so much better because, you know, like they get a little more variety because it's meant to look distressed and fun and awesome. And if I wanted the rag parts to be like extra fluffy, I could put just any random type of flannel, like 1 or 2 extra layers in between the 2 fun layers. It would have made those super fluffy. But for my first one, I thought it was super simple, and I really like how it turned out. So yeah, what do you guys think? Do you think it's fun? Do you think it's cute? Do you think it's a little too much? How extra is it? Super excited to have this really cute blanket to add to my couch with the other cute things like these fuzzy pillows and this decoration dream bounty from Angelic Pretty, because like I'm a bit of a snob and I had to have that pillow. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and seeing my journey to making my first rag quilt. If you like it, I hope you maybe take on the challenge to make one yourselves. So go ahead and leave me any comments or questions in the description, in the comment section down below, and I will be sure to answer those. best of my abilities. And yeah, go ahead and hit the thumbs up, hit the like button. Wow, the thumbs up is the like button. I cannot talk, like I so need to go to bed right now. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you want to join me in an upcoming series for October. It's going to be a lot of fun, it's going to be a lot of work, and I'm really excited about it. If you want to check out any of my social media, all those links are down in the description box down below. My Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, along with Twitch that I rarely use. I really should use that more often. Maybe when I take my week of vacation, I'll do some Twitch stuff because I'll have time. Alright, that's it for today. I will see you guys next time.